I'm Kerry Nixon, the General Manager of Central Minnesota Ethanol in Little Falls, Minnesota. Our facility is in the process of adding a gasification system that will allow us to comply with US EPA, MPCA, and Department of Justice consent decree that we signed that we would comply with new air permits that were issued this last year. For Central Minnesota Ethanol to do this would have meant that we added a thermal oxidizer, which would have cost initially a large investment for CMEC, but the biggest challenge there was operating this thermal oxidizer with natural gas. And over the last few years, the cost of natural gas has continued to rise, and we just didn't want to comply with the consent decree without challenging what technology we'd use to get into compliance and to see if we could lower our manufacturing costs. The real challenge has been the cost of natural gas has quadrupled over the last few years, and with the demand for natural gas, it just didn't seem generally right for us to continue to stay with natural gas. The ethanol industry itself has been under the microscope for how much fossil fuels we use to manufacture a renewable fuel in the first place. So this will be our way of improving the energy balance at Central Minnesota Ethanol. So with the help of Sebesta our engineering company, and mostly Cecil Massey from the Twin Cities, we have decided to put in a gasification technology which will gasify wood waste. This wood waste will allow us to manufacture a synthesis gas that will be burned and totally replace natural gas.
As our objective in working with Central Minnesota Ethanol was to meet their needs, to reduce their cost, achieve compliance, and protect their shareholder equity. We chose to do that with a technology that gasifies wood chip to produce essentially a substitute form of natural gas. That gas is then used in a thermal oxidizer to achieve destruction of the VOCs and achieve compliance for the plant on its air permit, while also reducing the cost of operation significantly. There are other benefits, though, that come from using renewable energy to run our ethanol plants. First of all, it eliminates the discussion about whether or not ethanol is truly a renewable fuel. The energy ratio on this plant will be at least 3-to-1 by the time we're done. We'll generate nearly a third of the electricity that we need to run this plant, and we will generate all of the thermal energy that we need to run this plant from the wood chips that we bring in. The effect of that is that we will have eliminated the use of natural gas in the production of ethanol at this plant. This back here is the source of the whole problem. This is the distiller's grains dryer, which the vent or the stack gas from this was what was causing a VOC emissions problem for the plant. When the plant is built and the gasification is complete, you can see the plume off the top of the column. That will disappear. So ground tanks rising in the back are the new distiller's grain storage, and those are a replacement for the existing distiller's grain storage. A large conical vessel behind me is the gasifier. This is a prime energy design. The principle on which it works is that a small amount of air is fed into the gasifier along with the wood chips, causing the wood chips to partially burn but not completely. That makes a gas called synthesis gas, which then can be used as a substitute for natural gas in the process of the thermal oxidizer and in steam production.
The wood waste that we'll be using is, we worked with the DNR, state DNR, and various departments in investigating what fuel source that we could use, and we settled on wood waste. And so we have had a lot of help from various departments in the state of Minnesota to investigate what fuel source we'll use.
The ethanol industry has been a great place to start with the idea of using renewables to fuel our industry. primarily because it has already access to other renewable supplies such as the distiller's grains and corn stalks. But other industries could benefit from this as well, and we encourage people who are in the process industries to look at ways that they could use their low-value co-products as a replacement for natural gas. The ripple effects that come from using renewable energy that is domestically based in Minnesota include, first of all, simply the creation of jobs to carry out that work, but it also assures us that our industry will remain cost competitive over the long term against both foreign and domestic competitors.
I think all industry and communities and so forth should look at alternative sources of energy. I think the demand for natural gas and so forth is continuing to create real stress on a lot of industries. So between solar and wind and biomass and so forth, I think there's a tremendous challenge and tremendous opportunity for communities and various businesses to utilize what's available naturally from our earth.